Have you been trying to figure out your teen? On Real Life Moms, we had many mom experts on our podcast that have discussed topics around teenagers, how to connect, how to communicate, and how to maintain a close relationship with your teen. I've taken all this information from our podcast and created a tip sheet and video for you so you can start connecting with your teen today. Just click on the link in the show notes for a free download and start enjoying the teenage years. And now, back to our episode. Hi, and welcome to Real Life Moms. I'm your host, Lisa Foster. And Real Life Moms is a podcast that's all about connecting moms through real parenting conversations. I believe that moms have so much insight and knowledge, and together we are powerful. On this podcast, we give moms a voice to tell their stories, share their expertise and resources through real conversations. And this week is all about reflecting. As I am reflecting on this past school year and the closing on one chapter and opening of another. Hi, and welcome back to Real Life Moms podcast. This week is a solo episode because May is just a great time for me to pause and reflect. It is the end of the school year here, and as much as there's so much chaos and there's so many events and forms and things that are coming up in my calendar, it is also just a time I can pause and just reflect on the past school year. And this year is really big because this year my youngest is graduating from middle school. And how I am suddenly a mom of two high schoolers, I have no idea how that happened. Of course, I haven't aged a bit. And this time period just makes me think back of when my youngest began kindergarten and that first day with his little backpack and his big sister and running up to that bus and going on so bravely and so excited. And as that bus took off, I just had this feeling of relief just sweeping over me. Because this was actually the first time after that bus left that I got in my car to go to work, and I didn't feel guilty for going because for the first time, both of my kids were now in school and that's where they needed to be. And I didn't have that guilt of taking them to daycare and dropping them off and going to work. So it was this light. It's almost like this light at the end of the tunnel that they were on a path that they needed to be on. And I could also be going to work without that guilty feeling that I wasn't with my children. But as I think about that day and how much curiosity, how much joy those kindergarten years were, they were just these little beings that they were just so excited to learn everything and learn anything new and just kind of really courageous by, even though they were scared going into that classroom or trying something new, they just did it. They stepped forward and they did it. And sometimes I look back and I wish I could have just bottled that light, that joy, and saved it for them for their teenage years and just taken it out when we needed it. You know, when your teen comes home and they're just feeling less, they're feeling discouraged, they're not feeling good enough. They're just not finding their place. I wish I could just open that bottle of kindergarten self and just like spray it around and give them the courage that they needed. But of course, that's not truly realistic. But today I look at my two teens and they both are now towering over me because I happen to be the shortest person now in the family. And I just see these incredible people before me. Somewhere along this bumpy ride of self-doubt, emotional ups and downs, emerge these two beautiful human beings that I truly look up to, not just because I'm shorter than them, but because they both have developed into adults that are kind, they're funny, they're creative, and most of all, they're caring. My son somewhere along the way has mastered the art of just this inner self-worth, almost like this inner peace. He's developed like this foundation of who he is and what his core beliefs are, and something I'm probably still working on in my 50s, but he is wise beyond his years. And even though things from the outside world or words or actions from others, I'm not saying don't hurt him, but he's so grounded in himself. He calls on those core beliefs to kind of figure it out and lift himself back up. And at the end of the day, he actually likes who he is, which I can see why. He's an incredible kid. But for him to know that is so wise beyond his years. My daughter, on the other hand, she's always somebody who's strived to fit in, who has a fear of missing out on things. But she has learned to step into this role to be a role model for others. Whether it's helping the freshmen find their class at school or helping a new dance team member feel included, or just the other day, I got a gift card for Mother's Day. And I looked at her and I was like, oh, maybe we should go shopping. And her response to me was, no, Mom, you need to use that on yourself, which warmed my heart that this human that I helped create showed so much compassion and encouraged me to do something for myself. I truly don't know where all the time goes to. And each stage that passes, I'm so grateful for what they have learned and how it's influenced them to become the humans they are today. And as I'm sad that each phase is passing by, I'm also really excited for the next phase. Because I have loved each phase, but I love the next one more. So as my kids turn into these teens, as there's no more middle school or elementary school phases for us, I'm ready to embrace fully the high school phase and beyond. And I know it's going to be great. I know it's going to be great because as I look at my kids, they are great. They are great humans. And I help create that. So if you were to get anything out of this podcast today, it would be just to enjoy your kids, whatever stage of life they're in, and to celebrate the beautiful people that they've become, because you had part of that. A little part of you is going to be in each of them. And don't be afraid of the next phases, because you know what? They're going to be beautiful as well. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope that you take a minute to reflect and celebrate your own children and the beautiful people they have become.